So new tool that some of you probably don't know about. This is a card scraper, and I think after you use one, you're probably going to want one. It's just a piece of mild steel. You can see why it's called a card scraper, because it looks like a card. Relatively easy to sharpen. You just, every once in a while, you'll have to true up the edge with a smooth file. So you'll remove, there's a burr, we're going to talk about that in a minute. But every once in a while, you'll have to remove that burr completely and true up this edge. And then you need a burnisher. In a pinch, you might be able to use a screwdriver, but this is actually a hardened steel rod. Sometimes they make them out of carbide even, but this is what, 15 bucks maybe? And this is a little bit more, it's probably 25, but you only need one of these. So a burr is just a little hook, and you're just going to want to feel for that. If you don't feel it, if your thumb slides straight off, it's not really going to work. That little burr hook is the key to making the scraper work. So if you don't feel it, there's just two steps. You just hold this down, or you could clamp it down. You could use a vise or something. The first thing you're going to want to do is draw out a little bit of the steel. And it's just about a 5-degree angle. And you just, a couple of times. And then I can feel that burr is gone. It was there. And then you have to turn it. We've kind of just squished out a little tiny bit of metal. I mean, this is, you can't really see it. It's more of a feel thing. You'd probably need magnification to see it. And so I've kind of pushed a little bit of steel that way. Now I need to turn that burr. And so again, it's roughly like 5 to 7 degrees, and then you just feel for it. And you don't need a huge burr. And that's just something you'll learn from experience. The more you do it, the better you'll get. And then we need to get rid of all this glue, and we also want to make the fingerboard flush to the side of the neck. Push your thumbs in the back and kind of flex it a little bit. It's easier to control. And it just, look, I mean, it's awesome. For cleaning that epoxy off the fretboard, this worked brilliantly. Sandpaper just clogs up really fast with epoxy, and this just shaved it off. Scraper also works wonderfully on figured woods. It's really something. It's such a cheap tool that works so well. And then
you always push against, you push, you never pull?
Yeah, you probably could.
Yeah.
But
I pull.
do you?
Push.
It's
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a Ford Chevy thing.
Yep. Yeah. For me, I'd like having my thumbs behind, but yeah, you could pull this way, couldn't you?
One thing when you're doing the side where the glue is, make sure you're leaning away from the fretboard so you don't rip out a fret slot.
Oh, good. So this is something we learned from John Page. John Page was one of the co-founders of the Fender Custom Shop, and he's a highly respected electric guitar luthier. And he said that this transition here that we see at Sinclair Community College, it's a little abrupt and a little uncomfortable. And so he advised us and actually gave Nancy this pattern last summer at the Grants Past workshop. So this is from the man himself, so we are going to respect that. And you're just going to try to blend in
You've done a good job sharpening that thing, 'cause you're going up on that grain there.
Yep.
Easy to rip.
Right. Try pulling. I probably have pulled before. So this would be more of a... Just take your time and kind of finesse that in. Okay. And just work your way towards that line. I wouldn't remove anything from this profile because that's pretty close to where you want it. So kind of just focus on that transition. And then you'll clean that up with sandpaper too, lightly, and then
You can soften that if you
Yeah.
want. That's kind of optional.
yeah,
Soften that
if
edge.
you don't like that edge, just hit that. It's all about feel, and then as you're doing this, just feel it as you go and check it, and imagine the nut's going to be there, and put your hand up there, and yeah, just use your hands. Use your hands at least as much as your eyes in this business. So we've got some glue there, so that'll come off in no time. And then any CNC machining marks, you want to take care of those too.
If you're getting those curly cues, it's a nice sharp scraper.
Curling ribbon.
Yeah, curly ribbon. When you're scraping the sides along here, be careful that you're not changing the size of the heel, right? Because you've already got that fitted perfectly to the body, so we don't want to change that dimension. So just scrape down until you're just touching that, get the glue out of there, but just touching that, but don't remove any material from this heel right here. Okay? And then the only other thing that I would add at this point that you could do is you realize that when you have the truss rod in the neck here, and you need to turn it after the neck is installed on the body, right? You're going to be coming in here and trying to get that tool in there and turn it, and you're not going to be able to, right? It's really hard to do that because this little piece here is too short, and it needs to be short in order for it to get in and around the pickup rings that are there. So what we'll oftentimes do is to put a little relief on the neck right here. So, and I find the easiest way to do that is with the spindle sander or the edge of the belt sander. And so I would just go over to that belt sander, I'd make a little mark to the depth that I want it to go, right? And just keep that thing centered and push it in there and grind away the fretboard right there until you get, and you'll end up with just a little arc right here. It's a little arc. And then also, if you want to, you can smooth out these sharp corners right here, right, and kind of dress up the end of this fretboard. But then you'll be able to get that tool installed and to be able to adjust the truss rod without having to taking the neck off of the guitar to do that. Okay, so that's just a really easy operation with the spindle sander, or the two radii that are on the end of the belt sander will work as well. Okay.
When you're making the relief in the bottom of your fretboard, a lot of you notice there's a little gap, and you want to hide that gap. So it's kind of, you want to keep a little overhang, but still have enough room for the wrench. So you might want to look at it as you're doing it.
Yeah, I would, cut away enough material and test it with the wrench. If the wrench works, that's as far as you need to go.
Because it's better to leave a little bit overhang.
Yeah. All right, let's do it.